After putting the finishing touches on a blowout win in Game 1, Jamal Murray turned to the crowd and declared, "We were ready for this." Let's take a look at all of the things that went well for the Denver Nuggets in Game 1 and all of the decisions that they made along the way. First up, you got to be, if you're a Nuggets fan, you got to be encouraged by the fact that the pick and roll game was working all game long. The bread and butter of the Denver Nuggets offense was getting the easiest buckets they've gotten this playoffs. You see right there, just a regular pick and roll drop off to Jokic. Here in the second half, you get Murray stunting at the rim and shooting over Okogie. Let's watch it again here. One of the things about Murray is when he has a defender that he knows he can beat, he likes to just get to his spot. So this might look like tough shot making all game from Jamal Murray, but these are practice shots, just knowing he can get to his spots and that the defender on ball, the best defender there, Josh Okogie, can't stop him. Very next possession, you're going to see the exact same action, exact same side, and this time he goes to the basket, draws the rim protector, and gets Jokic's favorite shot, the little 5-foot push shot. Later on, behind the back, a sign of how comfortable Jokic and Murray were in this pick and roll. I mean, they scored on it just about every time they ran it. They ran a bunch of other stuff throughout the game, but when they ran the pick and roll, it was looking like vintage Murray and Jokic. And then, of course, Chris Paul, the favorite of the starters that Murray was picking on late in the game, they try to put 2 on ball, and you get it, Jokic slipping. Bread and butter offense. Denver didn't have to run it too much, but every time they ran it, they got exactly what they want. And I think that's the number one reason you have to feel encouraged if you're a Denver Nuggets fan. Plays like this really demonstrate the difference between regular season and postseason. I've broken down this play before, C corner. Let's watch how well it works on this possession here as you get Murray screening for Aaron Gordon, and then, of course, a wide open bucket for Jamal Murray. Let's walk through the details of why this one was so special. First of all, it's all the subtle things you do. When you run this in the regular season, you kind of just go through the motions. Here, watch all the subtle things Murray's going to do. Jab step to get Okogie jumping back. Then he's going to toss to Jokic, fake, and turn him all the way around, by the way, Josh Okogie. So in 1 second, he's given 2 fakes towards the basket, around Jokic. Okogie's having to work hard here. So he's trailing the play. Kevin Durant has to stun over. DeAndre Ayton has to sink. And now you get the screen. Nobody likes – the reason this play works so well for the Nuggets is teams don't like to switch 1-4. Put Kevin Durant on Jamal Murray, put Josh Okogie, who's too small, on Aaron Gordon. Teams don't like to do that. But because Okogie's been scrambling twice now in the setup by Jamal Murray, he's a half step behind. He doesn't read the play well. They both jump towards Aaron Gordon thinking that it's a switch. And meanwhile, Jamal Murray, who's on fire, gets a wide open 3. Great setup from Jamal Murray, and just shows you how dialed in he is and the Nuggets in general to the subtle defense details of what makes a play work. And then the biggest thing is that Murray just doesn't have fear for the defenders that they're putting on him, in particular Landry Shamet off the bench. Again, these type of shots look like tough shots. Step back, fall away, goes in. But these are practice shots for Jamal Murray when he doesn't have a defender on him that he respects. If you look at this play, how confident is Jamal Murray that he's going to score on Landry Shamet? Jokic has Booker in the post, and Murray says, nah, I like my matchup better. All right, I'll get out of there. And then Murray's just going to dance with Shamet. Tough fall away? Not when you know your defender has no chance of stopping you. These are practice shots for Jamal Murray. So he absolutely loves it. And what Denver was doing throughout this game that was different than the Minnesota game. In Minnesota, you had Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who did a great job of not being screened, being skinny and getting through screens. Phoenix conceded the rub action switch all game long. You're going to see right here a little step up screen with KCP, and they are glad to switch. In Phoenix's mind, they're thinking no different. Okogie, Chris Paul, whatever, it's not worth the fight. So you end up, Denver did this over and over and over again throughout this game where they would pick the defender they want, get Chris Paul in this case. And I don't know if it's Chris Paul they feel is a better matchup for Jamal Murray. I think more than anything, you want to wear down Chris Paul. Fighting through screens is one of the hardest things you can do on a court. So you get Chris Paul, you get into your pick and roll action, and Murray just has no fear of Chris Paul challenging him once he gets him on his hip. Let's watch another example here. This time, same action, only this time they put Devin Booker on KCP, thinking, okay, we'd rather have Booker than Chris Paul here. Denver doesn't care. They feel just as comfortable in that matchup. Break down the defense, swing the ball around. You've got a switch already. Ayton's out on the perimeter, and KCP says, that's a good matchup for me. I'll take the shot. This rub action all game, almost they ran other things. Denver put a lot of experimentation in, but this off-ball switching to get the preferred defender worked every time. And then what did I say? Landry Shamet? Yeah, Murray's just shooting practice shots. These are no stress, no contest shots for Jamal Murray. Oh, this is Landry Shamet so worried about getting screened by getting screened onto Jamal Murray that look how much he just fouls Jeff Green, not wanting to be in position where he has to switch. That shows you the level of fear they have at putting Landry Shamet on Jamal Murray. Every second he was on the court, Murray was able to attack him, and that was obviously a big part of why they got a blowout win. And even it's so in their heads that even when you run some of this action, Murray's reading it perfectly here. You're going to just notice a three-point pull-up, nothing but net. Again, is it Murray on fire? Yes. But it's also, it looks like a switch. Paul looks like he's going to come off of this rub action like he's been doing all game. Instead, this time he doubles back. Chris Paul thinks he's guarding him. Landry Shamet thinks he switched off onto KCP. You're just too late, or Josh Okogie rather. And Murray takes advantage of what they've been doing all game, throws a little counter in there. They're unprepared for it. And Shamet, by the way, this is the problem with the Suns is they don't have depth. So they're always putting somebody on the court that they don't trust in some capacity. In this case, Shamet, even when he is not guarding Murray, you see him down low. He gets switched on a jump ball. It gets switched onto Aaron Gordon, and that's absolutely barbecue chicken down there for him as well. Aaron Gordon grabs the offensive rebound and nearly dunks it on his head before getting fouled, walking straight to the line. Again, every substitution they make, Denver has some kind of advantage against them so far in this series. And then later on in the game, they mixed up their coverages, and I suspect in game 2, they're going to try to not switch a little bit more, fight through screens, but even that presents its own challenge. Here's Torrey Craig probably fouling Jamal, trying to stay close. Jamal still able to force a switch off on ball, and even though this was late in the shot clock and Jeff Green gets the shot up there were multiple times in the game where Murray just ends up getting DeAndre Ayton out in space and absolutely roasting him as well. So here's another one. One screen from Josh Okogie, 2 screens he has to fight, 3 screens, trying not to switch. Give him a 4th. Why not? 4 screens in 1 play, and finally he gets beat on it. Ball swings to the corner, and even though this is a miss, it's your best three-point shooter with a wide-open corner 3. That's great process from the Denver Nuggets. On the defensive end, I thought this was, first of all, the Suns have 4 great players and 1 compromised player, either a great offensive player who's bad at defense or a great defensive player who you don't have to guard as closely on offense. In this case, they have Okogie in the corner, and Michael Porter is being told, don't worry about him. You're going to run him off the line. Stay and help. And this way, Porter is not rotating from a guy he's worried about into the paint. Instead, he's in the paint before everything goes. And the skip pass all game long, I thought Michael Porter was locked into his closeouts. You notice he didn't overextend. He just closes out in control and ends up forcing them into a tough spot here. Let's watch the closeout again. Close out in control, cut off the driving lane, use your size, get big. And then you get to this point, there's a kick ball, but still it disrupted the play from the Suns. And Denver did this over and over again. The most important part of Denver's defense, I thought last game in game 1, was how they avoided the switch into an ISO. So right here, Michael Porter's going to get switched on to Devin Booker, but look at him wave over. Let's double. They would be quick to double the ball and then recover. So now you avoided an ISO and there's no advantage gained. I think that in game 2, Devin Booker is going to be a little bit more aggressive trying to attack early. But when he held the ball, Denver was able to rotate. As soon as he picks up that ball, you rotate back. And even though this play actually ends up resulting in a 3, but that's more because of a secondary breakdown, not the primary one. Denver was pretty good at these, not allowing those all game. But here's another example of not allowing a player to get ISO'd in space. So here we go. We jump up high. Look at him wave over, come double. Here comes the double. The ball swings. Everybody recovers. Now let's do it again. Now you got Jeff Green in isolation. Send the double. Everybody zones up, and you force him into a tough ISO from the baseline. Capable of hitting him, and he hit a lot of them in this game. But that's the way you avoid those one-on-ones over and over again. When you don't have 4 proper offensive players around you, Denver just feels okay about scrambling on the weak side, knowing they can funnel the ball to the Phoenix's worst option. Let's take a look at another example here. Again, Denver perfectly executed this all game, in part because I thought Phoenix went so slow. Michael Porter on an island. Here comes Aaron Gordon. Now trust your rotations on the backside. Denver rotates. Everybody's back to their spot. Chris Paul forced to throw up one right at the buzzer, and of course it doesn't win. Great job by Denver all game long, avoiding the switches or the ISOs, and I think that's going to be a big part of their game plan until Phoenix comes up with a counter. The other part of Denver's scheme in this game was the switch and recover, how well and locked in they were on this. You're going to watch Aaron Gordon, Jamal Murray, and Nikola Jokic here all work together to make switches and switch back. So Aaron Gordon, double high screen, he's going to follow the ball. Jokic is going to jump out on it, and Murray's going to take the roll guy. That leaves you exposed with Chris Paul here, able to take a shot. But watch how Denver recovers. Rather than sending Aaron Gordon or Jokic there, they're going to rotate all the way around, and Murray closes out. Jokic gets back here, trusting that Phoenix doesn't have the chemistry or really the desire to try to swing the ball and punish. In game one, it worked out very well, and you basically wasted what was a good setup out of a timeout and force another contested fall away on the baseline. Denver did this all game. Let's watch a couple more examples of this. Here you're going to get another ball screen up top, double high, Porter rolls, and then watch the recovery. Back to the original matchups. Excellent job. That forces another ugly shot from Phoenix. They end up getting a rebound on this, but it just shows you that even the buckets they got in this one were kind of lucky bounce here, lucky bounce there. And then I thought Malone was dialed in on this game. If you're going to watch this play here, out of a timeout, the Phoenix has the ball. Malone, the only time he did this, out of timeout, sometimes a team will go zone to throw an offense off and try different things. In this one, they put Jokic, or Michael Malone put Jokic on Torrey Craig just for one possession. So when they came out of the play, they drop a little out of timeout, I'm sure, to try to put Jokic in pick and roll. But Jokic isn't in the pick and roll. Instead, he's on Torrey Craig, and it completely blows up their play. They switch everything, and as soon as Ayton rolls, watch Jokic say, all right, now go back to original matchups. Perfect. You've completely killed the out-of-bounds play. You forced Kevin Durant into a tough ISO, and there you go, getting a steal. Off to the races the other direction. And Denver actually ends up converting this one with a eventual getting to the foul line. So you go from an out-of-timeout, which should have a great opportunity for the Suns, and you turn it into a transition free throw for the Denver Nuggets. I thought Malone was absolutely on top of his game in this one. And then one of the adjustments Phoenix made late, obviously being down by a lot, you get a little bit desperate. They put in small ball, three-point shooting lineups that featured Damian Lee, Jock Landale, thinking, hey, we're gonna have to find a way to get stops with a bad defensive lineup, but we got to score. And Denver had no fear of this. Damian Lee and Jock Landale are not a good pick and roll combination. So what do? Clear Jamal Murray out, make Bruce Brown attack him, and look how easy Bruce Brown gets to the basket on his very first possession. But guess what? Denver's not satisfied with once. Let's run the same play again the next time. And what do we get? The exact same thing. When you get bullied in a pick and roll, no passes, no nothing, just one screen, and you get bullied all the way to the paint, you know that lineup is compromised. And by the way, that's with Bruce Brown. And if it's with Jamal Murray, why not? Let's put Damian Lee back in pick and roll, Jock Landale back in pick and roll, and let's get another layup out of pick and roll. Denver is not afraid of this small ball lineup and should score at will. Same thing. Jock Landale, this time campaign, same thing. Layup at the basket. Denver absolutely torched the small ball lineup that Phoenix threw out in game one. And then if it's not for the pick and roll, why don't we just show you how compromised this is. Denver gets the ball to Aaron Gordon at the top of the key. You put Jamal Murray in the dunker. So your best rim protector now has to guard Aaron Gordon on the perimeter. And by the way, not a great rim protector to begin with. And Jamal Murray being in the dunker means Damian Lee is your help side. Not exactly a Akeem Olajuwon in there. Aaron Gordon almost dunks Jock Landale through the basket on that one. If once wasn't good, let's do it again the next time down. Attack. Who's the open guy? Rotations happen. But what kind of rim protection is this? Just unafraid of this tiny lineup getting right to the rim. So Denver, against that small ball lineup, didn't just score. They scored at the rim at will. And then in game one, a couple things that Denver ran that didn't work, but not because I think they're going to be there in game two. 5-4 pick and roll is one of the most unique things Denver does. Aaron Gordon, the screener, Nikola Jokic, the center ball handler. And look at how easy of a shot Denver gets. Now, Jokic missed all of these, and he missed all of the tippers. Obviously, everybody remembers this play, but this came from a 5-4 action. But I want you to see the space. Jokic picks the ball up here. I think he's going to make the adjustment to realize this is going to be an all the way to the basket and finish strong type of opportunity for him. He didn't do it in game one. I think he will in game two. We got two more examples of 5-4 pick and roll action. Again, this would be chalked up as something that didn't work for Denver, but I think it's going to work going forward. Here we get the screen. Jokic gets to the rim, but again, just bumbling the ball all game, missing some very unusual shots for him. And that's one thing to be a little bit concerned about. We'll talk about that in a second. Another thing that I think is going to work for Denver, you like when a play doesn't just work, but work all of the different angles of it would have worked. The other options were available there too. So after running 5-4 pick and roll, you see Kevin Durant thinks, I'm going to drop. So what does Denver do? They fake the pick and roll for Jokic, but really what AG is doing is setting the flare screen for Murray. And sure enough, Aaron Gordon, who's prepared for the 5-4 pick and roll, is a step slow getting out to the flare screen. And of course, Murray knocks it down and yells at the crowd. But I want you to notice that as he sets this, the second option, which is Aaron Gordon going to the basket, is also wide open. In fact, he has great rebounding position. So Denver, another play they have in their arsenal, that the counters to this are going to be open as well. And then let's get to the intangible stuff. Phoenix plays their guys a lot of minutes. They're at elevation. And you're going to see Jokic here, clearly part of the game plan, get out quick. Denver is slow. This is the closest it got in the fourth quarter. And he's saying, come on, go, go, go. Let's move it. And then he's frustrated because look at how slow the Nuggets are bringing the ball up the court, wasting clock and allowing the defense to get set. Now, why does Jokic want to play fast? Just watch how dead tired this Suns team was in the fourth quarter. Here's Jokic on the break, and this is what he means. Go, run, Bruce, run. It's open, run. They're not going to. Bruce finally sees it. Oh, yeah, it's a dunk. That team was exhausted by the end of this, and it wasn't even particularly a hard game. It's going to get harder as it goes. On to Jokic's wrist. It wasn't just the missed bunnies. I thought this play stood out a lot to me. Jokic has some of the best hands in the NBA. How does he miss that rebound? I've never seen him miss a rebound like that. Now he finishes it, but it's one of those things where I just really stuck out. Like, man, I never see him bobble things. And then, of course, the bunnies. We saw the one earlier. Here's the other one. Jokic goes to the rim. These are the classic Nuggets plays, offensive rebounds, and he just misses all of them, including the little spin. Hopefully in game 2, he's cleaned up this. I know the wrist is probably bothering him, but we don't want it to make become too much of a storyline. And then this play stood out to me as well. Jokic, we all know, loves to turn over his left shoulder in the post. Nuggets run AI Knicks, one of the set plays, pet plays to get Jokic in ISO on the left block. And here he works Bismack Biyombo, who has no chance guarding him. And almost always Jokic will turn to his right shoulder here and get the easy little jump hook. He goes to his left. Is that because his right wrist is bothering him? I don't know. He gets blocked. He does finish the little floater there for the and one. But it was noteworthy to me that he went to his left when he had the right wide open, which is his favorite. And then one note for game 2. Okogie really tried to sell flops on Jokic screens in this game. You're going to watch Jokic perfectly set. Okogie flops. And the refs did a great job of not calling it. Jamal Murray says, hey, if you're going to flop, we're going to hit open threes. This is going to be another one of those weird battlegrounds in game 2. It's smart for Phoenix to try to draw fouls on Jokic. I think Denver, or the refs did a good job in game 1. But if I were Michael Malone, I would send the various clips of Okogie flopping on those and say, hey, look out for this. Don't give Jokic any of the cheap ones unless he absolutely earns them. So great stuff from the Nuggets in game 1. I'm excited to see what adjustments the Suns make in game 2. But it does feel like after watching the tape that the Nuggets have a response for just about all of the different variations of things that Phoenix is capable of doing given their limited personnel. They have offensive players who can't play defense. They have defensive players who can't play offense. And we'll see if they find some combination that isn't as compromised on one end of the court. That does it for the list. Don't forget to tune in to DNVR Nuggets every game for the pregame, watch along, and post-game shows. We'll see you then.